What makes the perfect script? Is it the dialogue? Is it the story? We all love a good film now and then, but do we love most of these films because of their scripts, or do we love them for other reasons? It is my mission to find out the answer. I do know someone who will find out the right answers to what makes the perfect script. Now, this man has worked on many great films with great scripts and great dialogue, and his name is Alex Kendall. I spoke to Alex earlier today, and he said he was very happy to be interviewed about what makes the perfect script. I've got my Mac here as he wants to be interviewed on Skype. I was going to go to London and visit him, but because he's a busy man, he's agreed to spare a few minutes on Skype to talk about what makes the perfect script. Hopefully I really get the answers I'm looking for, but coming from a professional, I think I will. Let's get started. Hello Alex, how are you today?
Hi, yeah, I'm fine, thanks, Reese.
I do appreciate you spending a bit of time here to do this interview with me, because obviously I know you're a very busy man, but I've got some questions to ask you because I'm on a mission to find out what makes the perfect script.
Great.
First question to ask is, in your opinion, because you've worked on many feature films, what do you think makes the perfect script?
It's always hard to say, and I suppose it depends on the film, because each film is its own beast, if that makes sense. Each film is its own thing with its own problems and its own ideas and its own kind of set of rules, if you like. But I suppose the few elements that you could say go towards making a perfect script or a great script are a great story, a story that's compelling, and through that a great character, someone or two or even three people that we invest in, or we are completely fascinated by, and they take us on a journey through a story that that somehow affects us and changes us. So when we come out of the film, we feel like we've either learned something about the world or ourselves through these characters.
It's interesting you mentioned story, because my next question is, does a script play more on the dialogue or on the story? So like if you were making a script, do you think you have to focus more on the dialogue or the story?
I think the main thing is the character, because I suppose you're ultimately, that's the thing that you care about, is that person, and through that the dialogue, I suppose, because that defines who they are. But I think someone once said to me, there's three things in every script or story, which is a world, a character, and a problem. And the story is really what happens to the character in trying to overcome this problem or trying to deal with a set of circumstances that they have. So I think that is the most important thing, a character that we don't have to like them, but we have to be fascinated by them and interested in them and want to learn more about them. And I think that's the most important thing.
If a film is badly reviewed, do you think a script should always be blamed? Like, for example, critics tend to blame films because of the dialogue or the story or because of its script. But do you think the script is more to blame, or do you think there are other situations that would put the blame on the film for being so badly reviewed?
It can be other situations, like work. We'll read what's a good script, and then you'll watch the film, and it's not as good as the script was, if that makes sense. And that's really bad directing, because someone, I think the task of directing is to really take a script and bring it to the screen in the best possible form. And so if you read a good script and it's a weaker version of it when it's on screen, then that's the failure really of the director and the producers in doing that. But I do think that most problems in films, things that really don't work or that really make the film suffer, are in the script. And often you'll find in editing or at the end of the film, the things that you look back on and go, oh, it doesn't quite work, or we're in trouble because of that. And we're not quite getting this, then it's usually a problem that was there in the script stage. It just wasn't quite ironed out or perfected or addressed. Sometimes it's a real issue and it wasn't really addressed at the script stage. So yeah, I would say that a lot of problems come from the script, and that's why it's so important to get it right.
What kind of styling scripts do you think people are looking for nowadays? For example, do you think they're looking for films to sort of go back to its roots, like the old classic films, or do you think they're looking for more unique and new style of scripts nowadays?
I think people were thirsty for original scripts. What I mean by that is original writing and original ideas, and as a filmmakers, as an audience, I think you're always hungry for something that's original, because when we all watch so much TV and film, and we're all consuming stories all the time, so you very easily become bored with a certain thing, and when something fresh comes along and you think, "God, I haven't seen anything like that before," then that's exciting. And so, yeah, I think it's always moving that way, but inevitably there's a conservative side to filmmaking where people go, "Oh, wow, we don't quite know what to make. This one's a bit uncertain." Whereas we could make a brand or a film that has got a guaranteed audience, and that becomes like a safer bet. So you will see, which I think you're referring to in the question, people remaking older films or going back to an older style of filmmaking. It's really because people feel it's a safer bet. It's already had an audience, or it's already got an established fan base, or it has something about it that people recognise, and therefore it's a safe option that people will produce those films because they think they're guaranteed to make their money back.
How many scripts do you reckon it takes until people finally agree to take it on board and go and distribute it?
It really depends. Some scripts can take years to get right, and then sometimes a script comes along and it's like, yeah, okay, we're nearly good to go. And it can often depend on what it is. We at work, we've got a feature film coming out that's a period drama. It's an adaptation of a book, and it took it was in development for a long time, because it takes a long time to get that kind of script right. What are the elements of the book that you want to use, and everyone knows the material very well. So what's the best way to represent that story on the screen? And then similarly, you hear of projects, or you'll be on projects that someone has an original script, or they might be a really talented writer, and they've written it quite quickly, and then it goes through just a series of shorter changes and drafts before going into production. So yeah, it can depend on the project entirely and the scale of it, really. But a lot of scripts spend huge amount of time being reworked, and that's the longest process of filmmaking, is developing the script.
And my final question, Alex, is coming from you especially, because you've worked on many scripts and feature films. What advice would you give to people who want to be in the industry or who want to write scripts? What advice would you give to them who want to try and make the perfect script?
I would say watch a lot of films and read a lot. That you can't be influenced enough by films, books, TV and theatre. A lot of writers that we work with come out of theatre, or they have some experience in another form of writing. So I think that's a really important thing, to try and interact with those different mediums, both as an audience member or a viewer, as well as a participant. So get involved with storytelling and drama on every level that you can, really. And then really, writing the perfect script, or writing a great script is a combination of so many factors. The right time, finding the right story, having the support, knowing something about that world, researching it, finding a great character, making all those elements tie together and form a compelling story. So, I mean, and some of it is luck, to be honest. You know, you'll see writers who'll write a great script, and then the next few things they write won't be so great. And that can be due to a number of factors and some you can attribute to luck. But I think the main things are finding a great character and a great story, and you do that through, improving your skills and awareness of what that might be, researching, reading, and watching a lot, and hopefully all those elements will inform your skills as a writer in order to be able to produce a really good piece of work.
Okay, thank you for them answers. This really helped. Thank you for the advice, and thank you very much for the interview.
No problem. Thank you very much.
So there you have it, guys. He's finally given out all the advice on what it takes to make a perfect script. I hope it was useful, and I hope you got all the information you need. Now, if you excuse me, I think I'm going to start making another script on my own and try and make it a little bit perfect. See you soon.